Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. That's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter.com/zip.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
Hey, warm up from Evo! Welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. We've got an excellent podcast for you. In segment number 2, we're going to be joined by Colby Marchio. He does great work over at Your Betting News, taking a look at this great game that we all know and love of baseball. He's been doing an excellent job on the prop front, so we're going to be chatting with him about some of the players that he's been looking at / not looking at with regards to the home run props that he bets. We're going to be chatting with him about if he plays some of these props in September a little bit differently than he does throughout the rest of the season, and additionally, just a few teams in general that he's feeling bullish / bearish on in the final segment. A little bit of a smaller card today with only 6 games, but going to get you guys picks and analysis on every one of them as we touch them all. If you do have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you do have one of 2 ways we offer those in. First one is my Twitter / X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, letters EM, name does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. And the other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it is very much appreciated. And then from there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. While I did not get in any Twitter / X questions today, everything is powered by EdgeBoost. EdgeBoost is making sure that bettors are able to have access to their funds whenever and wherever they want. With EdgeBoost, they are making sure that 100% of gambling transactions do get approved. And when you go to edgeboost.bet, put in that promo code of Greg, G-R-E-G. That'll give you a $1 for $1 match on your first deposit up to $25. Now let's take a look back at everything that we saw in baseball on Wednesday. Try to find some trends and try to get to know these teams a little bit better.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
The Washington Nationals get the job done against the Miami Marlins by kind of 10-5. As for Eury Perez, well, this was very eerie for him, giving up 7 runs over the course of 4 innings, including a pair of bombs, as you had Mr. Brady House get his 3rd home run season. Then there were 2 home runs in this one off of our good friend Eury Perez, and one a little bit later on for Nasim Nunez. For Nunez, his first 2 home runs of the campaign. Other home run comes a little bit later on in the game, as you did Michael Peterson, great name, give you a squirrel setting. George Soriano gives up a run in an inning. Tyler Phillips, he was able to go for a squirrel setting. Then Lu Aber Arias, he came in for an inning. He gives up that home run, 2 runs in total in an inning. And Mitchell Parker still relatively rough in this one. 4 runs, 2 of which were earned, give it up in his 4 2/3 innings, including a home run to Joey Weimer. First home run in the campaign. Mason Thompson then gives up an unearned run in his inning of work. You had Shunkuski Ogasara along with Jackson Rutledge both be able to give you a squirrel setting, and PJ Poulin 4 outs out of the bullpen squirrels. And for the Detroit Tigers and the New York Metropolitans, things have been up, down, all around for both of these teams recently, but you did have the Tigers be able to get a 6-2 win in this one. For Clay Holmes, not necessarily what he was looking for here. 3 runs, 2 of which were earned in 4 2/3 innings. And then from there, Ryan Elsley just continues to be terrible. For the Mets, he gives up a home run to Kerry Carpenter, 23rd home run of the campaign, got 2 outs, gave up 3 runs, all of which were earned. Gregory Soto, 4 outs out of the bullpen squirrels. Justin Hagenman, he was able to give you 4 outs out of the bullpen squirrels as well. And Casey Mize, rock solid start, 1 run allowed in 5 innings. Tyler Olton from there, a third of an inning, does give up a run, but Tommy Kane, Lee Will Vest both give you 4 outs out of the bullpen squirrels, and Rafael Montero was not Montero-able. He was able to give you a scoreless inning. The Red Sox decided to go with an opener in Brennan Bernardino, and well, he was the opener for a loss, 8-1. The Cleveland Guardians absolutely lambasted the Boston Red Sox as Joey Cantillo, good start here. He gives up 1 run over the course of 6 innings. From there, Jacob Junis and Eric Zabrowski combined for 3 innings between the two of them. They go scoreless, and Jordan Hicks gives up a home run to Gabriel Urias, his 10th home run of the campaign for Bernardino as the opener. He only got 2 outs. He gave up 1 run, and then Hicks, he would give up that home run. 4 runs in total in a third of an inning. Steven Matz, 2 runs, 1 of which was earned, given up in his inning of work. He actually had Dustin May come in long relief. He gave up 1 run in 3 innings. Zach Kelly, shout out to him, 4 scoreless innings, but by then it was way too little, way too late for the Boston Red Sox. Your top under team in all of baseball this season has been the Cincinnati Reds, and it's been by a relatively big country mile for the Cincinnati Reds, as they have played well north of 59% of their games, the under 54 over 79 unders and 6 pushes, but on this night they blow a 5-0 lead, 13-9. They lose to the Blue Jays as Shane Bieber gives up 5 runs in the second inning. He was able to finish 6 innings, so giving up those 5 runs. From there, Tommy Nance gives up an unearned run in 2/3 of an inning. Ryan Baruchi and out of the bullpen scoreless. Louis Varland does give up 3 runs in 2/3 of an inning. Brandon Little and out of the bullpen, and Jeff Hoffman a scoreless inning, but it was home run derby for the Blue Jays as George Springer, 27th home run of the season. Vlad Guerrero Jr., 22nd home run season. Dalton Varsho, 18th home run season. Don't call his name Leander Kirk, 12th home run season. The Tello Boys, first home run season, getting on that one, but Addison Barger did get his 19th home run season. As for the Reds, Zach Littell, he gave up 5 runs in 4 1/3 innings, including 4 of those bombs. From there, the bullpen did not fare any better. Lyon Richardson, 3 runs, 2 of which weren't given up in his inning of work, as Zachary Maxwell give up a run in an inning. Nick Martinez does give up the other home run, 2 runs in total in 1 2/3 innings, and Yosvar Zuleta, he comes in for an inning. He gives up 2 runs, 1 of which was earned. The Arizona Diamondbacks hold the Texas Rangers at bay, one of your better under teams in all baseball, 77 unders, 62 overs, and 2 pushes, 2-0 the final, as there's just absolutely nothing doing here for Texas, despite the fact that they had a solid start from Jack Leiter, 8 punch-outs, 2 runs allowed in 6 innings. From there, Robert Garcia, 5 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Chris Martin, a scoreless inning of his own, but Rangers leave 9 men on base, go 0-5 with men in scoring position as Zach Gallen filled it up. 6 scoreless innings. Ryan Thompson, John Curtis with 2 S's combined for a scoreless inning, and then Andrew Self-Frank and the Woodford, Jake Woodford, they're both able to give you a scoreless inning. And the Baltimore Orioles, who have been really one of your best road under teams in all of baseball, more than 60% of their road games have gone under. They go way over and they take down the Slam Diego Padres by a count of 7-5 as Cade Povich gives up 4 runs over the course of 5 innings, including a home run, and then Keegan Aiken gives up a solo home run in his 2 innings of work. Sean Dubin, Yunier Cano, don't you know, they both gave you a scoreless inning. And for the Orioles, you had one of your Jacksons. This time it was Alex Jackson get his 5th home run season, as they've also got a guy hitting well north of a 300 in Jeremiah Jackson, who has been very rock solid for this team as well. But yeah, Colton Cowser get his 13th home run season. Kobe Mayo, he was able to go deep, home run number 7 of the season, and Jackson Alday, 16th home run of the campaign. As for the San Diego Padres, just not what they were hoping for out of Nestor Cortez. Nasty Nestor put the team in a very nasty hole as he gives up 6 runs in 2 1/3 innings, including all 4 of those bombs. From there, Sean Reynolds, 2 2/3 innings, he gives up a run. Kyle Hart, Jeremiah Estrada, Mason Miller, Robert Suarez, they all lend a scoreless inning, but too little too late there. And for the LA Dodgers, this is an offense that's just not the same without Max Muncy. 3-0, they get shut out by the Pirates. It was supposed to be Shohei Ohtani starting this one. He got scratched from the start, and well, for Shohei Ohtani at the plate, he did have 2 hits, so he did his part. As the Dodgers, they strand 10 men on base. They go 0-7 with men in scoring position as Emmett Sheehan gives up 2 solo home runs in 4 2/3 innings. Andrew McCutchen, 13th home run season, and Brian Reynolds, his 15th, as you had Braxton Ashcraft go 3 scoreless innings. Mike Burrows piggybacks off of him for 3 scoreless, and then Evan Sisk, Isaac Madsen, Dennis Santana, they all lend a scoreless inning. And for the Dodgers, Ben Kasparis gives up a run in 1 1/3 innings, and Justin Robelski, 2 scoreless innings. So back-to-back losses in Pittsburgh for the Dodgers, and the Tampa Bay Rays absolutely lambasted the Seattle Mariners. That's back-to-back losses for Seattle out there in Tampa Bay. 9-4 the final, as George Kirby looked more like the blob of Kirby, 8 runs, 7 of which were earned in 2 innings, and I'm talking about the pink blob in all the Nintendo games. You had Edward Bizarro, very bizarrely, give you a scoreless inning. Taylor Cicado, 3 scoreless innings, so that was good, and Emerson Hancock gives up a run in 2 innings. Julio Rodriguez, main form of offense for Seattle, 28th home run season. Adrian Hauser actually had a 3-pitch versus innings, which I found to be hilarious, gave up 4 runs in 7 innings, more than enough to get the job done, as Mason Engler, 2 scoreless innings, and for the Tampa Bay Rays, 8 of 15 with men in scoring position. No home runs, but they certainly were able to get the job done out there. Despite 5 no-hit innings from the Chicago Cubs, they fall to the Atlanta Braves by a count of 5-1 as Kate Orton had things rocking and rolling. And then Craig Counsell took him out after 6 punch-outs, 5 scoreless innings, and 75 pitches. And from there, Ben Brown gives up 2 runs in 1 1/3 innings. Drew Pomeranz, he goes 2/3 of an inning. He allows 2 runs, including a big home run as Ha-Seong Kim was able to take him deep for his 3rd home run season. Then Taylor Rogers continues to struggle with the Cubs. He gives one up to Ozzy, Albies, 15th home run season. Porter Hodge was able to give you a scoreless inning, and Bryce Elder, 1 unearned run given up in 7 innings as Eli White had a throwing error, and that was it. Elder, now 3 total earned runs allowed in his last 3 starts. Tyler Kinley, Raciel Iglesias, they were both able to give you a scoreless inning, and out there in the NL Central, you were able to see the St. Louis Cardinals be able to get the job done against the Athletics, this by a count of 5-1 as for the A's, Jeffrey Springs gives up 2 runs in 6 innings. Relatively good start there, and then the bullpen had Tyler Ferguson give up 2 runs in that inning, and Elvis Alvarado, he was taken out of the building by Nolan Gorman, 14th home run season, gives up a solo home run in his inning of work. And for Matthew Liberatore, he had a rough stretch. I think he had given up 3+ runs in like 5 straight starts. He goes 5 1/3 innings, scoreless. Kyle Leahy, he goes 2 innings, gives up a solo home run along the way to Nick Kurtz, 28th home run season. Then Jojo Romero, 5 outs out of the bullpen, scoreless. He was able to pick up the save, and for the Milwaukee Brewers, they do persevere and they do get the job done against the Philadelphia Phillies, this by a count of 6-3. As for the Phils, you did have Will Wilson go deep off of Jose Quintana, 4th home run season for Quintana, gives up 3 runs in 6 1/3 innings. And for Aaron Nola, he pretty much ended this game before the Phillies had a chance. He gave up 5 runs before he got a single out. Now, to his credit, he was able to fill 5 innings, giving up 6 runs, but gave up a home run to Isaac Collins in that first inning, 9th home run season. From there, Max Lazer, Orion Kirkering, Lou Trevino, all in a scoreless inning. And for the Brewers, Aaron Ashby, Abner Uribe, they combined for 5 outs out of the bullpen, scoreless, and Jared Koenig, he was able to polish off that 9th inning. The Yankees made it interesting against the Astros, but the Astros do find a way to persevere, get the job done by a count of 8-7 as Devin Williams, yet another atrocious outing from 4 runs allowed in 2/3 of an inning. Will Warren, actually a relatively solid start. He gives up 2 runs over the course of 5 innings, did allow a home run to Jeremy Pena, his 15th home run of the season. Fernando Cruz, he was able to go for an inning, he gave up a run. Luke Weaver gave up a run in his inning as well, but Camilo Duvall and out of the bullpen, scoreless. And for the Yankees, trio bombs in this one. Austin Wells hits it Wells off of Mr. Jason Alexander, 20th home run season. Giancarlo Stanton, his 18th off of Alexander. Cody Bellinger made things interesting in the 9th inning off of Brian Abreu, his 27th home run season, as Abreu gives up 3 runs in his inning of work. And Jason Alexander, 3 runs allowed, but in 5 innings, giving up those 2 bombs. Steven Okirk gives up a run in an inning, but Caleb Bort, Brian King, they were the kings of being able to give you a scoreless inning. And for the Chicago White Sox, they find a way to get the job done against the Minnesota Twins. It's by a count of 4-3. As for the White Sox, a relatively strong start here from Yandres Gomez. He does give up 7 hits, but only 2 runs, one of which was earned in 5 innings, hurt by a Brooks Baldwin fielding error. Mike Vasil gives up a run in an inning, but Grant Taylor, Brandon Eisert, they combine for 2 scoreless innings, and Jordan Leisurely gives you a scoreless inning. And for Zebby Matthews, he gives up a home run to Edgar Quioto, his 5th home run of the campaign. Matthews gives up that solo home run in his 6 innings of work. Cole Sands, 2 scoreless innings, and then Cody Funderburk and Justin Topa in a combined inning in the 9th. They give up a combined 3 runs between the 2 of them as the Minnesota Twins 3-1 going into the 9th inning, and the bullpen does not get the job done. They also left 11 men on base, so myriad of issues there. And for the Royals, this is an issue for them trying to get back into the wild card picture. They lose again to the LA Angels. This by a count of 4-3 as Caden Donna gets the start, and he was pretty solid. 1 run allowed in terms of earned runs, 2 runs in total. He was hurt by an Oswaldo Peraza fielding error over the course of 5 innings. Brock and Roll Burke, Andrew Chafin, Reed Detmers all give you a scoreless inning, and then Robert Stevenson, he does allow a run in an inning, but Joe Adell sets fire to the rain again. 2nd home run of the series, his 33rd of the campaign. That comes off of John Schreiber, who gives up that home run, 2 runs in total in an inning. Ryan Bergert, once again a solid start, 1 run allowed in 5 innings, did jack up his pitch count. Jonathan Bolin, Taylor Clark from there, both led to scoreless inning, and Lucas Ursich, he gives up a run in his inning work, but not enough for the Royals to be able to get the job done. And doing this as this game is just going final. Do have to have this up by midnight Pacific, 3 o'clock a.m. Eastern. Right now, the Giants are up in the bottom of the 9th inning against the Colorado Rockies by a count of 10-5. Unless the Rockies put up a 5 spot with 2 outs remaining, the Giants are going to be able to get this one to the window. As for Matt Chapman, he had himself a day. He gets a pair of home runs, 1 off of Juan Mejia and 1 off of German Marquez, 19th and 20th home runs of the season, and 2nd home run of the series, 3rd of the season for Drew Gilbert, as he was able to take Mejia for a ride as well. For Ermar Marquez, he gives up 4 runs over the course of 5 innings. From there, Luis Peralta, 4 runs allowed in a third of an inning. Juan Mejia, with some of those inherited runners, gives up a few runs. He gives up 2 runs in 1 2/3 innings, allowing both of those bombs. Anel Shavili, Victor Vodnik, they both lend a scoreless inning. And for the San Francisco Giants, you had Robbie Reyes, a booed, giving up 5 runs, 4 of which were earned, but the bullpen has done their part from there, as you've had Yoel Piguero give you 4 outs out of the bullpen. Squirrels currently trying to get those final 2 outs. JT Brubaker, at the time of recording, he had went 2 1/3 innings scoreless, so doing a relatively rock-solid job there. And what else has been rock-solid this far this season has been taking a look at unders. So we have seen over the last 30 days a little bit of reversal. I'll talk about that in a minute. As of right now, 982 overs to 10,019 unders, so under rate is at about 50.9%. Favorites on the money line hitting at about 56.7% for the year, 1,175 and 898 on the money line. But if you look at the last 30 days, favorites hitting at more like 56.5%, 226 and 173. Meanwhile, the over rate is darn near 54%, 207 overs to 176 unders. And over the last 7 days, the over rate more around about 53.5%, 49 overs to 42 unders, with favorites hitting at 50% on the money line, 47 and 47. So that's what we're seeing in baseball right now, and that's where we're all getting trend-wise. Coming next, how about if we do talk with our good friend Colby Marchio of Your Betting News? We're going to talk with him about why he's playing a lot more team totals in the first 5 rather than player props. We're going to talk about the open landscape of baseball and so much more right here on the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the Decent Family Podcast.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. And it's always great to be joined by this man, as we've got Colby Marchio aboard. He does great work over at Your Betting News, doing a wide variety of articles, doing a wide variety of videos and shows/podcasts for them, as I know he does a great job with his show Up Your Units. That's every week out there. He does a great job on the baseball front, and I know when college basketball comes around, he's going to be doing a great job on that as well. You're able to follow him on the old Twitter/X at Colby M. Betts. And Colby, it's great to get you aboard. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg, as always. It's funny how I'm known as the baseball guy, but I also love college basketball. But I do dabble in everything, the NFL and college football as well. But it's funny because there's really 2 seasons for guys like us, MLB and college hoops, because they end at the exact time that they start. So that's the beauty of the 2 sports, and I love when they're going on at the same time, which is typically in the spring.
Absolutely. It is a cycle of life for us. As one begins, another one ends. So I absolutely love that aspect of things. And what I love is the fact that it just feels like it's a wide open season in baseball. I'm not sure if there's been a team or 2 that you've been taking a liking to that you're feeling a little bit more bullish/bearish on, but I just feel like this is going to be one of those years where it's whoever gets hot in the month of late September, early October. That could be the team that wins the World Series, because there just doesn't feel like a lot of separation with these teams. And all 30 teams have some of their flaws. Obviously, if you're looking at the Colorado Rockies, a few more than others. That's why they're not going to be making the postseason. But it feels like all these teams have their issues, and it feels like just an open season this year.
1,000%. I've been trying to form some confidence on some sort of possible contender. And I'm going to say the same thing I've been saying for weeks, months. I don't know who's going to come out of the NL. I don't know who's going to come out of the AL. I don't know who's going to win it altogether. So I'm completely there with you. I'm kind of hoping it's going to be like 23, where it's just 2 of the most random teams that were like, oh, yeah. I mean, back in that June of 23, I thought it was the Rangers back then. Never bet it. So me saying this doesn't really count, because I still regret it to this day. But I hope it's like that. I hope it's 2 teams we haven't seen in a while. But deep down, something tells me it's going to be a repeat of last year, which I don't have a problem with. As a Yankee fan, I have recently taken them to win the AL East. I got them at almost 5-1. I thought that price was insane, with the 10th easiest remaining schedule. And they're one of the hottest teams in baseball right now. As a fan, I don't have the most confidence with them. I think their flaws are going to be on full display in the playoffs. Talking about Volpe's defensive performances out there are going to be right there for everyone to memeify it. And even though we've known all season he's been struggling on the defensive side. So that I have a concern with. I do think it's whoever comes out of the NL wins it. I think the NL is much stronger than the AL. You take out the Yanks as I already am, I don't think they go to the World Series, but if they do, I wouldn't also be shocked. I don't know who it is. I still don't like the Mariners. Maybe I just want to be right about them because I think they're a little bit fraudulent. And I've been on this Cal Raleigh hate train for MVP, not his season, but just the MVP. I don't know. I honestly wouldn't mind it to be Seattle just because I feel bad for the fan base. But I kind of want to still be right about me saying they're frauds.
It is such an interesting landscape right now because with the Seattle Mariners, I feel like they're a boom or bust team. And I think that they're a team that's so interesting with a lot of what you do because you take a lot of player props. I know you've taken a few Cal Raleigh big jumper home run props over the course of the season as well. Just how do you take a look at this team? Because I know that in a lot of cases, when you bet your home run props, you're also betting on the total bases, you're betting on 1/2 total bases, something like that. And there are guys like Cal Raleigh and Eugenio Suarez that you really can't do that with because either they're going to hit a home run or they're going to strike out.
That's what I've been trying to advise bettors out there that want to have fun on the home run. Cal is a good look. He's always a good look. He's leading the league in home runs at 51. I hate it because I have Schwarber to lead the league in home runs, and I still hope he does. You don't take his bases. Do not look at the plus money on Cal Raleigh's over 1.5 bases and think, I'm getting really good value here. You're not. You're really not. It's a tease. It's not the safest route. In my opinion, you are probably betting on Cal hoping he homers. He doesn't hit doubles. Does not hit doubles. Go look at the stats. Prior to the 3 he hit in August, he was on a drought of almost 2 months without a double. He rarely gets 2 hits. He has a 40% strikeout percentage, almost 40% strikeout percentage, since June 1st. He's a single or home run guy, and just take the home run for the value there because you're betting on him to boom, and that's all he's going to do. He's a rare 2-hit guy. He just went a whole week without a hit. Just stick to the home runs when it comes to Cal.
Yep, absolutely. And there are just some guys out there that are like that, as a guy that is like that in terms of just providing great content. He always booms. That'd be Colby Marchio joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show. And certainly that's an interesting look. And I know there have been quite a few guys that you've been liking with regards to their total bases and their home runs this year. Vinny Pasquantino, I know, has been one of your main men. We just talked about Cal Raleigh. Are there a few other guys that you're looking at here in early September that have just really been treating you well over the last few weeks, and you're going to continue to look at them until something otherwise changes?
You know, I've toned it down a lot with player props over the last month, I would say, just because I haven't had the success I had early on, which is fine. I just went back to what used to work for me, and that's first 5 team total overs. I'm scared doing under. I'm going to be real honest with the people listening. I'm terrified to do unders. I'm a full supporter of unders when it comes to college hoops, but I am terrified of baseball unders. So I'm always looking for overs. They've been treating me well. They're so fun. And I always advise people to take the first 5 over the first 7. I know the first 7 is out there. You don't want to worry about the starting pitcher potentially being taken out when your entire handicap is them booming against that opposing pitcher who you're banking on sucking, as you already assumed he was a suck. So I love doing those. They're so fun, watching a team get into a rhythm, and you can feel it coming as the innings go by. And I always advise people, if nothing happens in the first 5 innings and you lose that prop, but you've seen guys on the base path, you've seen potential opportunities of scoring, and it just didn't happen, take them to score in the 6th. It's the second highest scoring inning in all of baseball over the last couple decades, and you usually get plus money. It's always a good price. I don't think it's a chase. I don't think I've won one. I think I've won one in the last couple of weeks, so I don't chase often. I don't consider it a chase because there's stats backing it. And if that starting pitcher's out there one more inning and you're in a good spot in the lineup, I think it's a great spot. Also, if you want a cushion, take the live first 7. It's usually just a run higher than what they're currently at around like minus 110-ish price.
Yep, and I do love that look as well, being able to just get in on something where in the 6th inning, it just feels like sometimes that's exactly where things boom. And I think that that's a big reason why as well with regards to props. There are some that have a ton of value, and then there are some that are not. Like, there's just so many ways to play them that I don't understand why a lot of people bet on a guy to have a win rather than just going with like their total outs or something like that. Because
I'm so against that prop. I'm so against that prop.
Oh, we are in
lockstep. It's a bad prop. It's a bad prop. For the people listening to what Greg just said, do not ever take a pitcher to record a win. It's a scam. It's a scam prop. It's a sucker's prop. So much has to go into starting pitchers these days for them to even get the win. They're not going 8 innings anymore. This isn't your father's MLB. This is our league where they go 5 innings and you're like, that was a fantastic start by Bryce Elder. No, and then you got to worry about him having a lead. There's so much that has to go into it. The team has to have the lead, blah, 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 blah. I'm anti that. Sorry to cut you off, Greg.
Oh, it is all good. And to your point, Adrian Morejon right now has 11 wins for the San Diego Padres this year. And a big reason why is because, like, you need to go the full 5 innings in order to be able to just be eligible for the win. So if he gets taken out after 4 2/3, if you took those strikeouts, you get 7 strikeouts, but he only goes 4 2/3 innings. Sorry, you're not going to be able to get the win. Let's say that 0-0 after 6 innings and then they put up a 5 spot. They win 10-0, still don't get the win. I do agree with you. And I think that with regards to props, the biggest thing is just needing 1 or 2 things to go right. And when it comes to a prop like the pitcher to be able to record a win, there's just too many variables in it. And if you're going to play the prop market, you want to make sure that you tone down the variables. And if you're going to have something that has a lot of variables in it, you need to be getting the better juice like you're able to find with a basic money line rather than something like a yes, no to record a win where you're going to be paying more juice than on a basic line.
100%. And I never think the price is good enough for me to be like, yeah, this guy's totally getting the win. He's playing the Rockies. It don't mean anything to me. That doesn't mean anything to me, Greg.
I do think that that's so well said, and I'm glad that we are very much in lockstep there. But you mentioned that you've been having a lot more success with regards to taking a look at first fives and being able to dive in a little bit more on that market, and just a little bit of a few teams that you've been looking to /fade in this market, because as we know, with regards to first fives, typically you're taking the bullpen out of it. Not always, because sometimes you have the openers, and we've been seeing a little bit more piggybacking. I know that the Pirates have been doing a lot of that with their new guy, Bubba Chandler, but that said, how have you been taking a look at this market a little bit more, and what's been really working for you over the last few weeks?
Typically, I want to ride the hot offense, which I don't do when it comes to taking player props, because I don't want a guy that's on a 4 or 5 game hitting streak, because he's more likely due for an offer than him to have 3 home runs tonight. So I'm very skeptical with that. With the teams being hot, when guys are humming, I don't have to worry about one guy when everybody else is contributing. Like when Judge doesn't have a great day, the rest of the lineups is doing better because he's in that lineup, and vice versa. If Judge is doing well and no one's picking up the slack, well, one of the best hitters of all time is picking up a ton of slack. So I'm on the Yankees tonight. Hopefully it comes through. I also liked the White Sox and the Guardians. This I need to tell you because it came to mind, because the Guardians and White Sox are at 1.5. To anyone listening and has never bet on this prop or looked at this market, I write in all of my articles that are 1.5 team totals in the first 5. It's a gift. Don't worry about what the price is. 1.5 is a gift if you like that offense to have success and boom against that starting pitcher, which you probably already don't respect anyway. Why would it be 1.5 if you already think that offense would explode? So I say anything below probably -180, -170 is a 1,000% go. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Anything above 2.5, 3.5 is typically when you're in Denver or playing Denver. That I'm typically skeptical on, depending on the price. I'm not doing minus blank on a 3.5 runs in the first 5. I need plus money if I have to sweat that much. But yeah, I just want to look at if a team isn't doing well, which is why I'm on the White Sox and the Guardians. The White Sox are doing well right now. The Guardians, statistics wise, over the last 2 weeks haven't been great, but I'm fading them against. Hopefully Dustin May comes in, because I think there's an opener for the Red Sox.
Brendan Bernardino.
Yeah, I think he's the opener. He only has like 2 innings thrown max in this season, I believe. But I would rather fade the terrible arm over the terrible offense, because they're pros. Those are pro hitters. They can definitely get on some terrible fastballs and whatnot. So I'd always lean more with fading the bad pitcher and supporting the bad lineup, if that makes sense.
And you talked a lot about some of these teams being hot/cold. How do you take a look at the full season numbers this time of year versus what we've seen over the last 21, 28 days? Everyone has their own sample size, but how do you sort of weigh that? Because I do think that it's such an interesting balance, because there are some people that they just completely throw away the season numbers, which if you have a team like, for example, the Arizona Diamondbacks offense, it's obviously very different now than it was at the beginning part of the season. But at the same time, too, a team like the Cincinnati Reds that didn't make a lot of trade deadline acquisitions, they're pretty stable with that regard as well. And I always think that it's such a fine balance because I just mentioned it too. In terms of people, I do look at a lot of recent form. The timeline that they utilize is always a little bit different, whether that be every 28 days, every month, every 45 days, what have you.
Yeah, when it comes to these first five, the only one stat I look at in terms of whole season is what have they averaged in the first 5 innings? I use that as a last thing to look at. I'm like, oh, what do they do? And then I look at what does that other team give up? Because one, if you're looking at the Rockies, they almost give up 5 runs at home in the first 5 innings. Hilarious. But usually anything after July 1st, I think I will trust because it's the second part of the season. The first half is where everyone's getting into a groove and finding their footing. July is where it all goes down and you know who's who. And then from there on out is of where we are today. I think I can trust that data.
Absolutely, and we can always trust you, Colby. And is there anything that you're taking a look at with regards to the slate for Thursday, or is that going to be a little bit more determined overnight? Because we only have 6 games on Thursday. The Guardians versus Rays game is just completely to be determined. So we pretty much have 5 games to look at, including Dodgers versus Pirates with Paul Skeens on the mound. And that's a total of 7, where with the LA Dodgers, you want to talk about a team that's been different in terms of recent form versus full season form. I feel like that's Exhibit A.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. I'm shocked they haven't toned down his innings. They're just like, we'll just let him out there and get that Cy Young. I don't have anything at the moment right now, Greg. I'm more of a morning looker of the slate because more props come out and I want to see the numbers and get more data. And God forbid if I'm wrong on another projected starting pitcher, I'm going to lose my mind. That ruins me, Greg. I wrote an article, had the wrong starting pitcher and another guy wasn't in the lineup. It felt great having that out right after they let the lineups out. Oh,
did you do that with Nick Lodolo with the Reds?
No, I did it with the White Sox the other day. Monday. I forgot who it was supposed to be. And he came in yesterday. In the middle of the game. I was like, oh my God, there he is.
That'll happen to you from time to time.
It's embarrassing, but it's a tough sport to have to write about in the morning, and they might change it up at 3 o'clock the afternoon. So I'm transparent. I make mistakes.
Oh, yeah, we all do. Like Aaron Savali was supposed to make a surf.
That's who it was. That's who it was. Ah!
And he came out in the bullpen of the Cubs, not the White Sox, the other Chicago team.
Oh, God. That's who it was. That's who it was. I'm pretty sure that's who it was.
He pitched for a team named Chicago on that day, but the different Chicago team in a different capacity. Only baseball, ladies and gentlemen. You're not going to find that in football where it's like, oh, I think that Brock Purdy is going to start for the 49ers. Oh, wait, he's coming in relief for the Las Vegas Raiders today instead. That is not something that you're going to be finding in football, and that's what makes baseball fun. And Colby, you do a great job of being able to decipher this great sport. You take a look at so many different things. So let the good people at home know it's all on tap for you and how people can follow along on social media and other platforms.
100%. Go run on over to my Twitter at Colby M Bets. I'm a couple away from 8,000. That would mean the world to me. I'm just kidding. Just go check out the write-ups. I write every single day for baseball, college football. The NFL is here this week, tomorrow, or today, whenever this comes out. And yeah, everything's free. Everything's always transparent. As transparent as G-Unit has his tweets out. Check it all out. And if you have any questions, concerns about what I look at on a day-to-day basis, I am always here, and I can always point people to advanced data because any math that's done for me, I love it, Craig. I love advanced data. I love advanced websites. That's why I'm such a nerd with baseball and college hoops because I love Bart Torvik, Hazelmetrics, and whatnot. So, yeah, check everything out over at Betting News, and appreciate you as always, Greg.
And we always love having Colby on the podcast because he's such a wealth of knowledge and he always provides good, clean family fun. So a big thanks to Colby for joining me on the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. And coming next, smaller slate on this Thursday, but we've got you picks and analysis for all 6 games on this card as we touch them all.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by Colby Marchio. He does great work over at Your Betting News, taking a look at this great game of baseball that we all know and love. Every single time he joins me, he lends such great insights, and he did so once again today. So big thanks to Colby for joining me in the last segment. Now it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Thursday as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board. Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that as per usual, any changes that are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at @GUnit_81, and we are going to be going in Las Vegas rotation order. This is where we go with the National League games first, then the American League games, any interleague games. Those are going to be at the bottom. That'll keep things all nice, neat, clean, and easy. So, but if we do get things started with 951, 952 on the betting board, it is the Philadelphia Phillies on the road against the Milwaukee Brewers as Ranger Suarez is on the bump for the Phils, and Freddie Peralta goes for the Brewers. The Brewers to find themselves between -121 to -132 favorites, and between +108 to +115 is that number on the Phils. 7.5 to 8 is the total on the 8. The under is -120 and the over is even, and then on the 7.5, you're going to be getting over juice of -115 to -120 with the under being even to -105, and I did make a total of an 8.3, so I'm going to be in on the over. Got a guy in Freddie Peralta who certainly is doing for a little bit of regression. Typically getting about 9.5 to 9.8 strikeouts per 9 innings for a pitcher is really good, but that's actually a career low for Freddie Peralta. He has been giving out 3.5 walks per 9 innings, so he has done a good job of keeping the ball in the yard. 0.9 home runs allowed per 9 innings, but 16 wins and a 2.58 ERA just doesn't feel like what he's deserving of with a 3.61 fielding independent. He has given up, by the way, 1 run over the course of his last 5 starts. I do think that sooner or later we're going to see that dry up, and for Ranger Suarez, he's a little bit of a pitcher contact guy. The swing and miss stuff has not been too bad this year. 8.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, 2.1 walks, 0.7 home runs per 9 innings. What I always find to be interesting about Ranger Suarez too is that it always feels like he pitches quite a bit better when he is on the road rather than at home. You've seen that thus far, with him posting up an ERA of about a 3.68 at home compared to 2.25 on the road, even though his home runs per 9 rate is actually a little bit higher when he is on the road. And for the Milwaukee Brewers, just so one of the most wackadoo stats of the year is the way that they have actually hit much better when they have been away from home rather than at home. 5.6 runs per game on the road compared to 4.6 at home, but I mean, they are the number 1 offense in all of baseball ever since the All-Star break by a country mile, and it's not even with a lot of power. They're now just getting Jackson Chourio back to the fold. He's been able to give you 18 plus home runs. Christian Yelich is the only other player on the roster with over 17 bombs. He's been able to supply 27, but just a whole bunch of guys that are moving the line for this team. If you look in a Brewers uniform and a Brewers uniform only, Andrew Vaughn, Yelich, who I mentioned before, Sal Frelick, Bryce Terang, William Contreras, Isaac Collins, all these guys give you at least a 350 on base. Andrew Menesterio is giving you a 340 on base. Caleb Durbin has been coming around. So, I mean, all these guys are hitting relatively well. It's a Brewers bullpen that has been in the top 8 in the big leagues in terms of bullpenning rates since the beginning of the month of June, though the Trevor McGill injury has been hurting this team. You've noticed a few guys regressing ever since then. Aaron Ashby, Abner Uribe, Grant Anderson, all supplying a sub-3 ERA, but we have been noticing a little bit of shakiness out of Nick Mears. DL Hull has been a little bit up and down, but for the Phillies, even though they're in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA, it is one that is very much improving because they bring in Jose Alvarado. He is going to be good for the rest of the regular season, cannot compete in the postseason, but he's given this team a little bit of a boost. You've got Tanner Banks, David Robertson, Orion Kirkring. I'll give you a sub-335 ERA, and then obviously Yohan Duran has been rock solid. For the Philadelphia Phillies, this is a top 8 team in the big leagues in terms of runs per game, but much better at home. 5.35 runs per game at home compared to about 4.25 runs per game away from home. A below average team with regards to run production away from home. At home, they're number 2 in all of baseball. Kyle Schwarber, though, has been able to give you those Schwarber bombs, 49 home runs, about a 365 on base. And then you've got Nick Castellanos, who needs to improve the 295 on base, but 16 home runs there. Trey Turner, along with Max Kepler, 14 home runs apiece. Couldn't be more polar opposites. Kepler hitting a 215, Turner hitting a 300 with 36 stolen bases, and then likes of Gite Realmuto, along with Alec Boehm, have been able to do a solid job of moving lines. So I do think that you get some run scoring in this game. Did so I saw it at an 8.3, like the over. And for the Brewers, up to a -126 is what I'm willing to lay on the money line. Set them at a -127. 953, 954 on the card. The Dodgers are on the road against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Paul Skeens goes for the Buccos. Blake Snell is on the bump for the Dodgers, and the Dodgers to find themselves between -123 to -132 favorites. Here between +108 to a +115. That number on the Buccos with a total of 7. Overs between -120 to a -125. Unders between even and +105. I'm going to be willing to take a shot here on the under. I did set my total at 6.6. I recognize that the Dodgers have been one of your best offenses in all of baseball, number 2 in terms of run production thus far this season, but if you look at the way that they have performed without Max Muncy, this just very clearly has not been the same team, and even if you just look post All-Star break, break at the LA Dodgers. This has been a lineup that has been in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of run production, so there does have to be a little bit of panic here for this LA Dodgers team. Since the beginning of the month of July, as a matter of fact, they're outside the top 18 in terms of runs per game. You still have Shohei Ohtani being able to supply you with the deep ball, and he should be still good to hit. He got scratched from his start yesterday in terms of pitching, but he should be still okay in the lineup. He's been able to give you above a 380 on base with 46 home runs. Will Smith continues to get jiggy with him with a 400 on base. You've got Andy Paz give you the 24 home runs, hitting at 275, and for Teoscar Hernandez, well, he does give you 21 home runs, just at 282 on base. You expect a little bit more there. Mookie Betts has been a bit better recently, but rough season for him. Been a rough season for Tommy Edman whenever he's been out there. Michael Conforto hasn't given you a whole lot of lot. So the bottom of the lineup has been a bit shaky for the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are actually getting healthier with the bullpen. You just got Michael Kopech, Blake Trine, and Tanner Scott all off the injured list. Trine has been off actually for quite a while, but you also got Kirby Yates off the injured list to be able to shore things up, and that's big because Ben Kasparis is rocking above a 4.5 ERA. You have not been able to get a ton of production out of Anthony Bend at 3.28 ERA, but he doesn't do a great job of holding inherited runners on. Jack Dreyer has actually been pretty rock solid, and for the Pirates, this has not been a bad bullpen. I'm not going to call it an amazing one. They do trade away David Bennar, but I mean, Braxton Ashcraft was a good piece of it, and now he's a starter, and he had to get the start yesterday. You've got Dennis Santana, Isaac Manson, give you a sub 350 ERA. Jay Shogurt has not been with the team for quite some time. You've had some of these guys, like now Mike Burrows is now entering into the bullpen. Well, I think he was actually going to be relatively solid, but for the Pirates, even though post All-Star break they've been a little bit of better offense, this team is still dead last in the big leagues in terms of runs per game. They still have only 3 guys that are giving you over 8 home runs: O'Neal Cruz, Brian Reynolds, and Andrew McCutchen. And in the case of Cruz, he's been banged up. He's been in and out of the lineup over the last few days, and if I'm not mistaken, he's just going to be dealing with injuries for the rest of the season. He didn't have to land on the injured list, but still, even with him out there, you've got he, along with Alexander Canario, Jared Trollo, Emmanuel Valdez, Henry Davis, only at 226 or lower, so you're just not getting a lot of guys who are able to move the line, and Paul Skeens has just been absolutely magnificent for the Pittsburgh Pirates, as he has allowed 2 runs or fewer in 21 out of his last 25 starts in terms of earned runs. Might have had a few unearned runs along the way, but a 2.05 ERA. He is getting darn near 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's allowing about 0.5 to 0.6 home runs per 9. He has just been rock solid for the team. And Blake Snell, ever since coming off the injury list, he's been able to do a relatively quality job for the team as well. Always have to fear the walks, as he gives up over 4 walks per 9 innings, but still, he's been able to give this team, since coming off the injury list, 10.8 strikeouts per 9 innings, a 2.54 ERA in his last 5 starts since coming off the injury list, averaging a little bit over 5 innings per start. So, circumstance where I'm in on the under, so by a total of 6.6. I did set the Dodgers as a slim minus 111 favorite, so being able to get above a plus 112 in on that Pirates money line as well. 955, 956 on the betting board. Boy, they made my job fun here, as it's the Cleveland Guardians on the road against the Tampa Bay Rays. To be determined is on the bump for the Tampa Bay Rays, and to be determined is on the bump for the Cleveland Guardians. And to be determined, the line on this game is to be determined. So this is a game that is very much off the board. Now, if you look at the projections on ESPN and elsewhere, right now they're lining up Gavin Williams going for the Cleveland Guardians versus Ryan Pepiot in some spots. Other spots, it's Logan Allen going against Pepiot. I do think we should get Pepiot in some form or capacity. If it's Logan Allen, I'd be willing to lay up to a minus 148 on the Rays. Gavin Williams, probably closer to about a minus 135 or so, and then either way, whether it's Allen or Williams, 8.5 or less, going to be looking at the over, 9 or higher to the under. Both guys, in Allen and Williams, are giving up over 3.5 walks per 9 innings. Gavin Williams gives you a little bit more swing and miss. Logan Allen has just been shaky to say the least, and against this Tampa Bay Rays lineup, I do think that he would have a little bit more struggle. As for Gavin Williams, 3.26 ERA, but a fielding dependent, that's over a 4.3, so that's a little bit of an issue. And for Logan Allen, just has been giving up a little bit too much contact in general, fewer than 8 strikeouts per 9 innings. Meanwhile, for Ryan Pepiot, 3.70 ERA, but a 4.45 fielding dependent of his own, 1.5 home runs, 3.1 walks allowed per 9 innings, so that's been a little bit rough though. Last 2 starts, even though he only went a combined 10 innings, does feel like the Rays are limiting in his innings right now, but he gave up 0 runs in both of those starts, and he is backed up by a Rays bullpen that overall for the season is in the upper half of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA, though I don't know why they're giving Brian Baker and Griffin Jackson innings. Both of these guys have not been great. Edwin Uceta is a long guy, posting up about a 3.75 ERA. Garrett Clevenger, Pete Fairbanks have been rock solid. Not sure why they don't have Eric Orze back up at the big league level. He was very rock solid all season long for this team, but Brian Van Beal has a little bit of upside in this bullpen. And for the Tampa Bay Rays, this team has been towards the bottom of the big leagues in terms of runs per game ever since the All-Star break. As a matter of fact, bottom 3 in the American League, but you still have Junior Caminero giving you 40 bombs, hitting for a 262. On-base percentage has been a little bit of an adventure, but you know what? He's done a great job of being able to hit those bombs. And then Brandon Lau has been able to get very loud for the team, 265 average with 28 home runs. Yandy Diaz continues to give you about a 350 on base, 22 home runs. The problem has been the bottom of the lineup, the likes of Christopher Morel, the shortstop spot with Taylor Walls and company. You're able to throw in there the entirety of everyone that they've had at catcher this season. Like all these guys hitting at 225 or lower. Chandler Simpson has been very solid in terms of being a nice table setter, though. 39 stolen bases, hitting at 290. Jonathan Aranda being on the injured list has been hurting them a little bit. And for the Cleveland Guardians right now, you're just not getting much out of this lineup. Jose Ramirez has been rock solid. 26 home runs, 36 stolen bases, 355 on base. And Stephen Kwan, nice table setter. He's been able to about a 270 this far this season. And Kyle Manzardo, not necessarily the world's greatest average, but 24 home runs. But then you just have a cavalcade of different guys. They're hitting a 225 or lower. Carlos Santana, who I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they just decided to DFA, and he's out with the Chicago Cubs. He was just out working out for them. Anel Martinez, Will Wilson, CJ Kafis, Bo Naylor, John Kenzie Noel, David Fry, Austin Edges. You just go down the list of guys. Like, I ain't everyone not named Ramirez and Kwan has done a big giant nothing burger for the team aside from Kyle Manzardo. So I do think that that's going to be a little bit of an issue, and do think that the Rays should be the favorite as a result. I'd be willing to lay up to a minus 148 on the Rays against Allen, against Gavin Williams, closer to minus 135, and like I said, either way, 8.5 or less, going to be looking at the over, a 9 or higher to the under. 957, 958 on the card. The Royals are playing host to the Angels, and the Professor Kyle Hendricks is on the bump for the Halos, and Seth Lugo goes for the Royals. Royals between minus 154 to minus 164 favorites, plus 134 to a plus 142 is that number on the Halos with a total of 9. The over is minus 120, and the under is even, and I did set my money line price on the Royals at a minus 148. If you're looking at that initial FanDuel opener to lay run half with the Royals, right now you're getting that at a plus 125, and I would need to be getting a little bit of a better number here. If we get up to about a plus 148, I will be willing to take a shot on the Angels. So this is a little bit TBD. Or if we could get like laying a run and a half, a minus 140 on the Angels, which I actually do think is possible when it's all said and done, I would be willing to take a run half at a minus 140 with the Angels. So I might go with that plus 1.5 run line. We shall see what happens there, but that's when we get a little bit more of those overnight numbers. With regards to Kyle Hendricks, he's been a bend but don't break guy, I think is the best way of being able to put it, because he's not great. He's got a 4.89 ERA, 5.9 strikeouts per 9 innings, 1.4 home runs, 2.4 walks per 9 innings. He hasn't been a complete disaster though. Now, has given up 4+ runs in 3 out of his last 4 starts, but he doesn't get completely destroyed. Like, we're trying to be polite here. 4.89 ERA, 4.76 fielding dependent, and when he has been on the road, it's been a little bit more of a struggle for him than when he has been at home. When he has been on the road this year, the ERA balloons up to a 5.05. On the road, he's given up closer to about 1.6 and 1.7 home runs per 9 innings, but Seth Lugo has been in an almighty funk as well. He's up to about a 4.15 ERA. He has given up at least 4 runs in 4 out of his last 5 starts, and 6+ runs in 3 of those, so that's not great. 1.7 home runs, 3.4 walks per 9 innings, a 5.09 fielding dependent to a 4.15 ERA, so his fielding dependent is actually worse than that of Kyle Hendricks, and for Lugo, he is backed up by the better bullpen overall this season. But if you look at the Angels bullpen since the beginning of the month of June, it's actually been league average. Like, it doesn't feel like it, but it's been league average in terms of ERA. You've got Brock and Roll Burke and Kenley Jansen, both give you a sub 3.25 ERA. They've been without Hunter Strickland for quite a while, and then you do have some of these guys who are just not great. Jake Eater, Jose Fermin, Sam Bachman, Ryan Zephyrion, Reed Detmers, all rocking above 3.95 ERA, so that's been less than amazing to say the least. Ryan Johnson has not been great when they've given him innings, but you know what? For the Angels, they're able to pound the deep ball top 5 team in terms of home runs on a per at-bat basis. Joel setting fire to the rain, 32 home runs, only a 300 on base, but 32 home runs. Taylor Ward has been able to give you 30 bombs. You've got Zach Neto supplying those 25 home runs. Logan Oapi, 263 on base. That's not great, but 19 home runs. And then even Mike Trout, who has been dealing with a little bit of ailment. I know that he's been dealing with a little bit of an illness, so be mindful of that. I pretty much ruled him out of this game, and if he does play, he'll probably be like a pinch hitter. 231 average, but 20 home runs at a 360 on base. And on the other end, the Kansas City Royals, ever since the All-Star break, I'm not going to say that they have been amazing in terms of this offense, but you know what? It is a Royals offense that has been a lot better. They've actually been in the upper half of the big leagues in terms of run production. Mike Yastrzemski has 4 leadoff home runs, so they've been removing him from that leadoff spot over the last few days. So that's been interesting to say the least, as Miguel Garcia has been a really good table setter for the team. He's been able to hit just below a 300. He's been able to supply 15 home runs. Bobby Witt Jr., 350 on base, 20 bombs. He's been able to give you about a 354 on base. Vinny Pasquantino is your main form of power, 28 home runs. Bottom of the fold, someone like a Michael Massey hitting at 220 with a 233 on base has not been great. Jonathan India hitting at 232 with 8 home runs. You just expected a little bit more there, but Salvador Perez has been solid, and this is a Royals bullpen that is in the top 6 in the big leagues in terms of their ERA. Carlos Estevez, Lucas Erceg, both supplying a sub-265 ERA is rock solid. Taylor Clark has really come alive. He and John Schreiber, sub-330 ERAs. You're getting Daniel Lynch off the injured list. Do think that the Royals should be a pretty sizable favorite. If we could get down to a minus 147, we'll be looking at the Royals plus 149 or greater, looking at the Angels. So we'll take a look at that late night line movement. And here at the 9, I'm in on the over sub. I told 9.2, 959, 960 on the card. It is the White Sox, and they are going to be on the road against the Minnesota Twins. Todd Junko and Milton Bradley is on the bum for the Minnesota Twins, and Shane Smith goes for the Southsiders. The White Sox do find themselves between plus 120 to plus 130 underdogs, and between minus 138 to minus 150. That number on Minnesota, 8.5 is the total. Over is minus 110 to a minus 115. The under is between minus 105 to a minus 110. And for the Twins, I did set their money line price at a minus 136. If you're looking to lay a run half, you're only getting a plus 125 here. Like, when it's all said and done, if I'm able to get a run half at like a minus 140 with the White Sox, right now I'm seeing that initial opener at a minus 150 at FanDuel, but they're using a 25-cent straddle, so that should be coming downward. I would honestly be willing to take a run half with the White Sox if I'm unable to get like a plus 136 or greater on the money line, as this is just a Twins bullpen that is completely untrustworthy. Cody Funderburk, Cole Sands, Michael Tonkin, guys like this posting up above a 365 ERA have not been great. Erasmo Ramirez has actually been halfway decent in this bullpen, but not one that I'm trying to trust in. Jonathan Topa has not been great either, and you just take a look at Taj Bradley, and man, things have really went downhill for him. And I was very bullish on Taj Bradley like 2 years ago as well. He was getting good swing and miss stuff. His strikeout numbers are way down this year. 7.6 strikeouts per 9 innings, 3.6 walks per 9 innings are career high. He was keeping the ball in the yard with the Tampa Bay Rays. First start out with the Minnesota Twins, 8 runs allowed in 10 innings, and he's given up a pair of home runs in that time span. That's not great, to say the least. Overall for the season, 42 ERA with a 4.35 fielding independence. So not feeling very bullish there. And then for Shane Smith, he does give out a few more walks than I would like, 3.7 walks per 9 innings, but 8.4 strikeouts, 1.1 home runs allowed per 9 innings, 3.81 ERA. He's given up a combined 8 runs over the course of his last 5 starts. He's been very rock solid for the team. Now, the White Sox bullpen could be an adventure, to say the least, as the long guys have actually been very solid. Mike Vasil in particular, he's been able to give you a sub-275 ERA, but now you've got Daniel Tavia on the injury list. Wilkerman Gonzalez has actually been a very solid long guy. He's giving you like a 2 ERA, so shout out to him. But you've got the likes of Brandon Iser, Jordan Leisure, Tyler Gilbert, Cam Boucher. These guys posting up well above a 4 ERA, so that's an issue. And for the White Sox, this has actually been a top 10 offense in terms of runs per game since the All-Star break. The problem is you still don't have a ton of power with this team. Lennon Sosa has been able to give you 19 home runs, hitting at 265, and then you've got a quartet of guys between 14 and 17 home runs. They're currently on the injured list: Miguel Vargas, Colson Montgomery, Andrew Benintendi, Luis Robert, and really the only guy that's sitting above a 234 out of these guys is Mr. Andrew Benintendi at a 245. Michael A. Taylor has been miserable with a 265 on base. At a DFA, Josh Rojas. You've had a lot of veterans that have just struggled for the team, though. Kyle Teal and Edgar Quiero at the catcher spot, both of these guys hitting above a 280, so that's been solid. And for the Minnesota Twins, they still have pop in this lineup, as you've got Byron Buxton give you 29 home runs, right around about a 330 or so on base. Trevor Larnach, a 330 on base with 16 home runs. Brooks Lee up to 14 bombs. Matt Wallner has been able to give 20 home runs, but Wallner is sitting at 207 with a 310. On base, Cody Clemens is up to 14 home runs, but he's hitting at 211. Whenever you've had Edouard Julien out there, he's been hitting below the Bedell's line of 200. Luke Hackshiel has actually been able to hit a 310, so he's been solid, but Tashawn Kersey, another one of their young guys, has just not been able to step up, so it's been a little bit miserable with that regard. So for the White Sox, if I'm able to get like a minus 145 in terms of getting run at or a plus 137, going to be looking there, so I'm going to be in the White Sox in some form or capacity, whether that be money line / run line, and I did so I told it at 8.4 with the way that Shane Smith is performing, so here at the 8.5, I'm in on the under, and wrap things up with 961, 962 on the card. The Yankees are on the road against the Houston Astros. Christian Javier is on the bump for Houston, and Carlos Rodon is on the bump for the Yankees. Yankees between minus 122 to a minus 120 favorites, and between plus 104 to a plus 112 is that number on Houston. 8.5 is the total. Unders minus 115, and the overs minus 105. I'm in on the Yankees. I did set them at a minus 131 on the money line. Carlos Rodon has things rocking and rolling. How about 2 runs or fewer allowed in each out of his last 5 starts? 3.18 ERA, 9.7 strikeouts, 1 home run allowed per 9 innings. The little bit over 3 walks per 9 innings is a tad bit less than savory, but on Christian Javier on the flip side, in his 4 starts that's coming off the injury list, 5.1 walks per 9 innings. Now, has only allowed 1 home run in those 4 starts. He's got a 3.38 ERA, but he's also only went 16 innings as well. Hasn't been able to give a lot of length. Now, the good news is he is backed up by an Astros bullpen then is in the upper half of baseball in terms of their ERA, with the Bryants, Brian King, Brian Abreu, Steven Okirk, guys like this being able to give you a sub 3.25 ERA. But now you've got Josh Hader currently on the injured list. They've been dealing with Bennett Sosa being on the injured list as well, so that's a little bit less than amazing. And for the Astros, dead last in the American League in terms of run production since the All-Star break entering into the game yesterday. Jose Altuve has been fine, 24 home runs, and Yordan Alvarez coming back for this team should be able to give this team a nice little bit of a shot in the arm. Jesus Sanchez has been able to give you a bit of something since they traded for him as well. He's been able to move the line a little bit. He's got a pair of home runs over the last few weeks, and you've had Yenier Diaz be able to give you some good batting average, 253 average, 18 home runs, but just a 283 on base. Christian Walker, 21 home runs, but again, just a 300 on base. You need these guys to draw a few more walks, so Mauricio Dubon now hitting about a 250. That's been able to help out the team a little bit as well. And for the New York Yankees, on any given night, you'll have 8 out of your 9 guys in the starting lineup have 16 plus home runs, and the only reason why Giancarlo Stanton doesn't have more home runs is because he was injured this year. He's been getting a home run every about 10 to 10.5 at-bats. You've had Aaron Judge obviously do amazing work, 442 on base. He's up to 43 home runs, and then you've got quite a few guys that are between about 26 to 29 home runs this season. Trent Grisham, Cody Bellinger, Jazz Chisholm, and all 3 of these guys have been able to give you at least a 332 on base. Ben Rice has been moving the line a little bit more with a 335 on base. So Anthony Volpe along with Austin Wells both have 19 home runs, but both are hitting at 210 or lower with a sub 275 on base. The Yankees bullpen could be a little bit of an adventure, but Luke Weaver has been much better over the last few weeks. Has dealt with some injuries. When he came off the injury list, wasn't quite himself. Now he looks like himself once again. And then you got Tim Hill, David Benner, and the newly off the injured list Fernando Cruz. I'll give you a sub 3 ERA. Being without Brian Hedrick has been hurting this team a little bit. He's been a bit banged up. Mark Leiter Jr. has not been anything special. And then Devin Williams, not great to say the least. Seeing Camilo Duvall in a Yankees uniform, and a Yankees uniform only, above a 4.5 ERA. But do think that in the end, the Yankees get a good start out of Carlos Rodon, hold down this Astros lineup, and I do think they get the job done. Set my money line price at a minus 131, so laying it with the Yankees, and I'm going to be in on the under sub. I told 7.8, and that'll wrap things up for the Thursday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Big thanks to Colby Marchio. He does great work over at Your Betting News. He joined me in the last segment. If you do like hearing from this fine podcast, Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever you hear podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of 2 ways to be able to fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, letters EM, they mean does not matter, so per usual, please send these into the timeline. The other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it is very much appreciated, and then from there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. And I'm coming at you guys every single day on this podcast, regular season and postseason, so I'll be back with you once again tomorrow. Thank you.